Okay, now we are going to consider the phase diagram. So this is the simplified and semi-quantitative phase diagram we are going to consider. So two things are there. It is simplified and semi-quantitative. Okay. So first is the regarding the phase diagram. So x-axis is your temperature, y-axis is your pressure, and the phases are shown by corresponding name. So this is your water solid, that is your ice. This is water liquid and the water vapor. Now the solid lines that are shown here, these lines are basically the phase boundary. So up to the triple point, I have put a red line. So this is your solid vapor phase boundary. Okay. So this one is the solid vapor phase boundary, and the this from triple point to going through normal boiling point. So this one is your liquid vapor phase boundary, and the negative slope line. So this is your solid liquid phase boundary. Okay. So among these three, this solid liquid phase boundary, so this one is very important. Okay. So this particular phase boundary, which I have put a red dot, so which is between solid and liquid. So this phase boundary will be very crucial. So that will discuss why it is very crucial or very different. Now here the triple point values are shown here. You can see 6 into 10 to the power minus 3 atmosphere and 273.16 Kelvin. Okay. Now this is mentioned as simplified and semi-quantitative. Two things has been mentioned. So first is semi-quantitative. Semi-quantitative because it has not been drawn as per scale, but the qualitative nature must be maintained when you are drawing this phase diagram. That means the nature of the line that is drawn here, so that must be maintained. That phase boundaries, the way it has been drawn, so that must be exactly, that must be followed there. And most crucially is the solid liquid phase boundary, which is going through normal melting point. So that solid liquid phase boundary, it must be having a negative slope. Okay, so when you are drawing this, it must be looks like a negative slope. Okay, otherwise it will be wrong. That is one thing. Second thing is, when you are this normal pressure is also shown on the pressure axis. You can see 1 atmosphere. So this is the dotted line. The normal pressure is shown here, and you can see this normal pressure line is intersecting the solid liquid and liquid vapor phase boundaries. So we are getting normal melting point and normal boiling point. So on the y-axis, this 1 atmosphere pressure, this must be shown at a higher position than the triple point pressure. Okay, that also you have to make sure, or you have to ensure that the pressure axis, normal pressure, that is 1 atmosphere, wherever it is denoted, so that position must be higher than the triple point pressure for this particular system. So these two things you must keep in your mind when you are drawing this phase diagram. So one was the nature of the phase boundaries, especially the solid liquid one, and the position of the normal pressure on the y-axis must be placed at a higher position, relatively higher position than the triple point pressure. So these two are the things you have to consider when you are drawing this. That is, it is semi-quantitative. And second thing is, it is simplified. Why? Now, if somebody is actually considering the actual phase diagram, so in the low temperature, so low temperature means it is below 100 Kelvin, and high pressure, that is your more than 150 atmosphere. So under this situation, so we will be having some other phases which is not been shown here, okay, which will be somewhere here in this part, in this region, which I have not shown here. So some phases, other phases of water will be existing there, and those phases are like H2O whole 2, H2O whole 4. This type of phases will be existing. These phases are not that much stable. So this is a low temperature and high pressure condition. These phases will be visible. And if you consider the actual phase diagram of the water, which you can get from any standard textbook, so you'll be seeing that those phases are like something like this type of phases will be existing. And remember, all of them are solid. So here again we have a misconception. Many students are having a misconception that these your state of matter and phase of a substance, these two are the same thing. So remember, these two are different thing. Although in case of water we are using the solid, liquid, vapor, this name we are using here, but actually in reality these solid, liquid, vapor, these are the three state of matter. And the phases, even in case of water, we can see H2O whole 2, H2O whole 4. So these type of things, this type of phases will be existing. All of them are solid. So these two are not same thing, or they are not synonymous. That you must remember when you are considering this phase diagram. Okay, so now thing is this solid, liquid, vapor, how to understand this one. This is different. Now just last class we considered carbon, say diamond and graphite. These two are two phases of carbon, and they basically represent two different phases of carbon, and both of them are solid. So that's why solid, liquid, vapor, they should be connected to the or related to the state of the matter. In case of water, it is correct. We are using these names to denote these phases. That is correct. Okay, but in general, these two are not the same thing, or these two are not synonymous. Okay. Now, in case of sulfur, rhombic sulfur, monoclinic sulfur, both of them are, these two phases are, they are two different phases, and both of them are solid. Same way, if we consider tin is a metal. Tin is having gray tin and white tin. So two different phases of tin, both of them are solid, gray tin and white tin. So two phases of tin are existing in nature. So both of them are solid. So solid, liquid, vapor. So rather you should keep this or understand these things as the state of matter rather than the phase of a substance. In case of water, this is a situation where we are this solid, liquid, vapor, these names are being used here as the phase of this particular phase diagram. Okay, that I agree. But in general, these two are different, that you remember. Now, this is if you consider the actual phase diagram, so this is the simplified I have written. So reason is we are only considering the simplest part of this phase diagram. So if you consider the actual phase diagram of water in the low temperature below 100 Kelvin and high pressure is more than 150 atmosphere, we will be getting the other phases of water, and also we will be getting triple point there. Okay, so one triple point is here. You can see triple point is shown here. This is the triple point, and other triple point will be observed in that area. So that part will be getting another or other triple point. So each triple point will be having a different pressure temperature value. Okay, so that is the thing. So here the data, some of the values are given here: normal boiling point, normal melting point. So triple point, whenever you considering, both the values must be considered correctly. So 6 into 10 to the power minus 3 is the triple point pressure, and temperature is 273.16. And remember, normal melting point 273.15. Okay, so look at this difference very carefully. But normal melting point, the pressure is, what is the pressure at normal melting point?
(1 atm).
So that is the 1 atmosphere pressure is there at this normal melting point. So this is about our phase diagram. So on any point on these phase boundaries, you remember two phases are existing. Now which two phases? Now those two phases which are separated by these phase boundary. Say if you take this particular phase boundary, which I have put a tick mark just now, so which is between solid and vapor. So each point on these phase boundary, this blue line, there are many points are there in number of points, and on each point you will be getting the water solid and water vapor phases are existing. Okay, so this is for solid vapor phase boundary. Same thing is there for solid liquid and liquid vapor phase boundary. So two phases, and this is nothing special on the phase boundary. Two phases are existing. If you are looking at the last class definition, you can understand that one. Now, thing is, this solid liquid phase boundary, this is having very steep negative slope. So why or how to explain this fact? Now, this fact, if somebody wants to consider, so he or she has to remember the structure of water molecule, which is V-shaped. But if you are considering the lone pairs that are existing on this central oxygen atom together with the bond pair, then this picture will be much clearer or much easier to understand. So in the water, solid, that is your ice form, there will be overall 4 hydrogen bonding will be taking place with one water molecule. Okay, so those 4 hydrogen bonds can be existing with one water molecule. 2 hydrogen bonds will be along the lone pairs and 2 hydrogen bonds will be along the bond pairs. So overall, each water will be having 4 hydrogen bonding. And now you recall those, what is the bond pairs and the lone pairs. So you have a concept of hybridization and you can visualize the structure of methane. Now this one, in methane you have 4 bond pairs. In case of water, 2 bond pairs and 2 lone pairs. So the hydrogen, oxygen, hydrogen, this bond pair is, this bond angle is relatively slightly smaller. That is okay. But the thing is, along these 2 bond pairs and 2 lone pairs, there will be basically 4 hydrogen bonding will be taking place. And now if you remember the hybridization and in the spatial orientation of these bond pairs and lone pairs, and such hydrogen bonding will be basically making an extended hydrogen bonded 3-dimensional structure in water solid or in ice form. So ice form, basically we get an extended hydrogen bonded 3-dimensional structure in the ice form or H2O solid. Now when melting is happening, basically some of these hydrogen bonds will be broken. So it is not all the hydrogen bonds, but it is the some of the bonds, hydrogen bonds will be ruptured or will be broken. So what will happen at that situation? At that situation, under that situation, the basically molecule will be coming closer to each other, and thereby under that situation the basically density will be for the water liquid will be having a higher than your water solid. Okay, now this extended hydrogen bonded structure in the solid form and partial breaking of those hydrogen bonds in the liquid form. So such phenomena or these phenomena will be responsible for your this steep negative slope for this solid liquid phase boundary. Okay, so water solid is having a lower density and water liquid is having a higher density than the H2O solid or ice form. So these basically, this such a significant or very strong hydrogen bonds basically we do not observe in H2S or methanol, ethanol, we do not observe. So this is that's why it is a very crucial or important consideration in case of the water system. And this is basically doing the or basically giving the solid liquid phase boundary with a steep negative slope. Okay, so this is the qualitatively we are explaining this one. So this is the reason. Now next we will go to the phase rule. So phase rule, we can have the basically a phases, number of phases is influenced by temperature, pressure and concentration. then degrees of freedom is equal to C minus P plus 2. So C is your number of components and P is the number of phases. And F is the degrees of freedom for that system. Now these degrees of freedom, it is different from the degrees of freedom you have learned in physics. These degrees of freedom is the for an equilibrium system. These degrees of freedom indicates gives the number of variables required to specify its intensive state. Okay, so basically whenever we are considering an equilibrium system, how many, whether one variable, two variables or three variables, so how many variables are required for specify that equilibrium. So that number of variable is nothing but our degrees of freedom for corresponding to this phase rule definition. Now this, remember, these are these intensive variables. These can be pressure, temperature and mole fraction or concentration. Okay, so this is mole fraction, or somebody can write concentration. Okay, now thing is, whenever you are applying this phase rule, you can apply these with a reactive system and you can apply these for non-reactive system. That is your reactive system like A plus B giving C plus D, that is reactive, and non-reactive system like your phase transition. So such situation also this phase rule can be applied. Okay, now thing is, applying these we are only getting the number of variables required to specify its intensive state. Now what is that variable? What are those variables? So that, which is that variable, so that you have to justify from your given system. So some situation it may be pressure may be the only variable. Some situation it may be temperature may be the only variable. Okay, some situation it may be both pressure and temperature, both are the required variable. Some situation it may be pressure and concentration are the required variable. So there are many options are there. Now among these, which one is applicable to your given system, or a plus which one is applicable to the given problem, so that you have to justify. Okay, so we are only getting the number from this one. Now which variable is actually is basically specifying that state, that variable you have to justify looking at the given system. Okay, so that is the phase rule. Now here we have not C minus P, so C is your number of components, P is number of phases. So phases we have considered, components we have not considered. So we'll see the components. So number of components of a system is the smallest number of independent chemical constituents taking part in equilibrium, by means of which composition of each phase can be expressed either directly or in terms of chemical equation. So this definition is little bit lengthy. So to understand this definition, So we'll use a few examples. Okay. Now, what we are actually finding by these components, now this is the, remember, this is the actually smallest number of independent chemical constituent. This thing we are actually finding, which is nothing but our component. So to find the component, first is you have to search for number of chemical constituent present in the system, whatever, how many number of chemical constituents. So that number you have to, first you have to find out, and then you have to see number of equilibrium constant that we can possibly, or is possibly to, it is possible to write the number of equilibrium constant relation correlating those chemical constituent. Okay, so that number of equilibrium constant, so that is your the second thing that we have to find out. And third is the any other constraints or any other correlation like charge neutrality, balance of molar quantities. If such things are there, that you have to find out. Then the number of components will be equal to number of chemical constituents minus number of equilibrium constant relation minus number of any other constant. So this again, this is not much understood by looking this language. So we'll see directly one example. So this is our example. So we are considering say pure water liquid we are considering. So in this water liquid, we have an equilibrium. This equilibrium is existing. Okay. So what is the importance of this equilibrium? Anyone can tell me? This equilibrium is very, very crucial. Why? Anyone? This equilibrium, it is book, it is written as so-called autoprotolysis. Okay. So in some name, water is being getting the H plus and OH minus. This equilibrium constant is extremely low value. So that also is known. But why this is very important? Why this equilibrium? Anyone, any idea?
Sir, phases are equal for both of the side.
It is the what is that? Tell
Sir,
me.
phases are equals. Phases are equal both the sides.
This is what? Recall. What is that? What you are mentioning, tell me, फिर से बताओ क्या है? Okay, I am telling. This equilibrium is the foundation stone or the crucial for defining your pH scale. Okay, so pH scale, it was mentioned in many books, many times you have seen that pH values you are calculating. So that concept is coming from based on these equilibrium only. pH 7 was called as neutral, lower than 7 pH it was acidic, higher than 7 pH it was basic. So many things are written in the book. So that basically is coming from these equilibrium only. So anyway, this equilibrium constant is very small it is, but this equilibrium is existing. It is existing there, and as a result of this equilibrium, we will be having actually three chemical constituents: water, H plus and OH minus. Now we have written as 3 in the lower part, you can see. Now we can write an equilibrium constant in terms of these constituents: activity of H plus into activity of OH minus divided by activity of water. Now these you are writing in terms of concentration. I have written in terms of activity. So activity equal to activity coefficient multiplied by concentration. So when you are writing with concentration, that denotes or that automatically indicates that it is a basically ideal solution. Okay, ideal way the solution is behaving. The non-ideality, if it is at all present, so that is basically is to be taken care of or is to be considered with the help of these activity terms. So it is instead of going much conceptual things, remember that this is a better way or more fundamental way. The equilibrium constant should be written in terms of activity. Okay, so this is the equilibrium constant that we can write. And also we have another correlation. So water is neutral. So the mole fraction of H plus will be mole fraction of OH minus. So we have number of components. We have 3, then minus 1. So this first minus 1 is due to we have a one equilibrium constant that we can write using the these constituents, that is first minus 1, and another minus 1 is appearing, which is due to your one correlation we are getting, which is mole fraction of H plus is equal to mole fraction of OH minus. So our component is equal to 1. Okay, now let us quickly go back to the phase diagram once more. Now look at this phase diagram. I have written H2O liquid. So let me put a red color line. Okay, so this red color area, it is a almost triangle shape. Not exactly, it won't be exactly a triangle, but like a triangle shape. So that area is basically is your H2O liquid. And if you are considering any point in this area, so degrees of freedom will be equal to C minus P plus 2. So C will be is our 1. We just now we have found out, and number of phases will be कितने phase होंगे? How many phases in this case? How many phases or phase? So it is the value is 1. Okay, because H2O liquid only we are considering. So our F equal to 2. So we need to have two variables basically. So any point in this area you need to specify, need to have two variables, and these variables are pressure and temperature. Okay, both of these two are to be specified. Now slightly you go down and you can see the triple point is there. So at the triple point, what will happen? The triple point, our component will be equal to 1 only. So C value will be 1. Why? The thing is, we are considering pure water. So this the component will be equal to 1 only. And P value will be 3. This is 3 because you can see the definition of triple point. So our F equal to C minus P plus 2. So this is 1 minus 3 plus 2, which is the 0 value. So 0 value का meaning क्या है? What does it mean? Yeah? It means that this system is actually is a non-variant or invariant system at this point. Which point? Now at the triple point. Now, if somebody is trying to change the system from or deviate the system from this particular situation, so system will be changing from a 3-phase condition to a 2-phase condition or 1-phase condition. Okay, so that means system may be deviating from to 1 phase, or system may deviate to 2 phase. So 2 phase is if system is going along the phase boundary, it will be 2-phase system. If it is going to the H2O solid, liquid or vapor, it will be 1 phase. So it will not be remaining in the P equal to 3 condition. Okay, so the situation is that F equal to 0, that condition will not be maintained there. So P value will be changing, number of phases will be changing, and the F will not be equal to 0. So that's why this was the I was mentioning that each triple point will be having a fixed pressure temperature condition. So that pressure temperature value is each triple point, it will be a fixed value. So if somebody wants to mention the triple point, so both the values must be mentioned correctly. So this was our first example. Now second example is the degradation of ammonia to nitrogen and hydrogen. So we have 3 chemical constituents: ammonia, nitrogen and hydrogen, and equilibrium constant you can write in the same way. So the stoichiometries are going to the power of the activity terms. You can see activity of hydrogen cube, activity of ammonia square. This is the similar way it is written. So we have one equilibrium constant we can write correlating those chemical constituents. Now another correlation is also there, which is that mole fraction of nitrogen equal to 1/3 of the mole fraction of hydrogen. So I have written the nitrogen and hydrogen correlating these two. I have written these second correlation. Now the same correlation you can write with 2 other ways. Okay, and those 2 are ammonia nitrogen or ammonia hydrogen. Okay, so these mole fraction correlation can be written in 3 ways. I have written in terms of nitrogen hydrogen. Someone can write with ammonia nitrogen, or someone can write it with ammonia hydrogen also. But whichever way it is written, it is basically coming from the same equilibrium. Okay, and that equilibrium is ammonia to nitrogen plus hydrogen. So it is a one correlation we are getting, and it is not three correlations. Okay, now again we are reaching 3 minus 1 and minus 1. So it is one component is coming out. Now both the examples, one similarity was there, that these chemical constituents are in the same phase. Okay, so this thing is written in the note part of this slide. You can see lower part. So chemical constituents, in case of example A, it was in liquid phase, and in example B, they are in gas phase. Okay, so this is the simplest type of example that we have considered. Now, if there are many reactions are there where these constituents will be appearing in different phases, and there the component calculation will be little bit complicated. So that calculation will not be same, and under that situation you will be getting components value other than 1 also. Okay, so isme don't get misunderstood that component will be always 1. It is not so. Here the situation is they are basically in the same phase they are appearing. Now we have some other situations also, and those are not there in your, we are not going to consider. Those are little bit complicated, and but if somebody wants to consider those, so he or she can reach C equal to some other value, that is C equal to 2 values will be appearing some other situations. So those are not there in your syllabus. Only these simple type of situations will be asked there. Here, this is all our things. So, कोई अगर question है, we can take few questions. कोई question नहीं.
Sir,
हाँ,
sir,
बताओ.
how you calculate the number of components? Can you explain again why this -1 and -1?
This is first is you have to see the chemical constituents. So in this case, ammonia, nitrogen, hydrogen. These three constituents are existing. Okay, and the thing is we are writing as in the 3 is the number of chemical constituents we are writing there. And then second thing was the how many equilibrium constant correlation you can write with those chemical constituents. So here only one equilibrium constant relation we can write it. So इसमें कुछ, some of you may be thinking Kp, Kc, so many things were there. Basically, they are the derived equilibrium constant. Okay, so those things are appearing from here itself. So ये जो activity का जो this whatever equilibrium constant we are getting, so from there we may be getting some other derived equilibrium constant. Okay, so those are under a condition, those were derived or those were obtained from here. So this is the equilibrium constant. This is the equilibrium constant that you have to consider or you have to get. This is our original equilibrium constant. Is the only one equilibrium constant that we are getting using these activity terms in this way. And as we are getting one correlation equilibrium constant, so it is 3 minus 1. So this is for one equilibrium constant. And then the another correlation is mole fraction of nitrogen and hydrogen that I have written here. So this same correlation you can write in 3 different ways. Okay, you can write in 3 different ways. I have written with nitrogen and hydrogen. If somebody wants, he or she can write with ammonia nitrogen or ammonia hydrogen. But the thing is, whichever way you write, it is basically it is coming from the same equilibrium. Okay, so basically it can be written in 3 ways, but is actually one correlation we are getting for this from this mole fraction condition. So it is the -1 will be coming here again. So your this component is 1 value is coming here.
Sir,
Hmm.
sir, do we always consider mole fraction only as the constraint or the correlation? What other correlations can be there?
You can take mole fraction or concentration, whichever you find proper yourself. So it can be, here we have used a chemical equation, chemical reaction is happening. So we have a well-defined stoichiometry, and as per that stoichiometry, we are writing these concentration or mole fraction relation from here. Now, in case of previous example, it was the charge neutrality. We are writing that correlation. So you have to see the equation whether the so-called chemical constituents, whether you can write a relation between or correlating those chemical constituent, whether you can write a correlation with the concentration of those species or not. So that you have to search. Okay, so here we have many complicated situations are there. So those situations we are not going to get here at this level. We are only seeing the or looking at the simplest situation, that is all the chemical constituents are appearing in the same phase. So there are many examples are there where these chemical constituents are appearing in different phases. There are many n number of equations are there, and if you are considering them, so you will see that this calculation will be little bit complicated. Some other considerations will be also coming in the phase concept, finding the phase, number of phase, whatever we have discussed. One thing I did not mention there, that two solids basically they denote two different phases. Okay, say calcium carbonate and calcium oxide. If say you are purchasing from a shop CaCO3 and CaO, you are mixing them. So they basically constituting two different phases. And these will be applicable unless otherwise any is like a system like your metallurgy. What is metallurgy? The metallurgy is the method where using which we are basically extracting the metal from its oxides, sulfides, etc. So any metal, aluminium, copper, silver, gold, any metal which is extracted, so with the help of some reaction. So metallurgical system, this phase equilibrium, this is having a very big effect. This metallurgy system is basically one pillar is this phase equilibrium concept. Okay, so those things we have not mentioned in the class. Each solid is constituting one different phase. So those things has not been told here. So some of the things I have not mentioned. So only this much is there. So you can try to learn this type of system, simple system, and see previous year question papers also. Okay. Or any other questions? Okay, then I'll upload this chapter. So you read these topics. So only remember this is a phase equilibrium itself is a very large topic. It was concept was started or concept